And rather than list all the things that he's done for the Kings and for the community, I just call him Kreidler. He's just a Kings icon, right?
He is. Agree? He is an icon.
Yes. And he's also a big Chiefs fan.
He also doesn't mind being called an icon, which is great.
He's Jerry Reynolds. What's up, Coach?
Well, I was hoping for a little longer introduction. I mean, you kind of shorted me a little bit, but that's okay.
You're probably right.
I just being with you two dynamic duo guys, legends in your own way. So, yeah, it's great to be here. Beautiful day. Not much more I can say.
What did Mrs. Reynolds call you once? A semi-regional celebrity or something like that?
No, a regional celebrity. That's where you're kind of famous in a 50-mile radius or something.
Yeah, but Whitey was shorting you again just then. This is starting to become a thing.
Yeah. Well, I think do you think it's a little jealousy there? Is he just kind of snipping at me a little bit?
I've always wanted to be a regional celebrity. I'm jealous.
Yeah, well, it really pays well.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, I was going to say I just stopped by Pete's Coffee and they give me the same deal like everybody else got. Wow. So
Yeah.
But anyway, hey, it's just good when you're about 70 or 80 years old. You're not going to complain about anything.
Well, Jerry, I was talking about you yesterday before the game because I mentioned that you have said many times on this station that you'd like to see the Kings run a few things for Harrison Barnes. And after last night, it looks like that was a pretty good idea, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, I don't know if they did seem like they were looking for him a little more, especially, but he was aggressive himself, getting himself to the basket. As you know, I kind of always felt like with Sabonis, high, they ought to slide him in low. I think he's got the best post game on the team other than Sabonis, and seemed like they could use him a little more. And I thought last night that certainly seemed to be the case. Hopefully we'll see it again, rather than once a month. Mm-hmm. It'd be good.
Jerry, how much of that was
Jerry's feisty today?
I want him. Oh, yeah, we like spicy Jerry, though.
I'm a little feisty today.
Yeah, boy, spicy Jerry. How Harrison's been inconsistent all year long, all season long. How much of that is, and I know Mike Brown's mentioned before, we don't call his number very often, but how much of it is early game not being involved? Because last night he was involved very early and often.
I think that's a really good point. I mean, I think for Harrison, he's just not the kind of guy generally to force things. He blends in maybe to a fault. I've always said that. He's a great team guy, locker room guy, but he'll kind of bend to the will of his teammates, so to speak. And that's why I think, you need to call his number. Give him a number and call it. Get him going early, and I think, you'll get more production out of him, which this team needs. And as your point, Mark, about his productivity, it's one of those things, if you really look at the numbers, they're outstanding, but they're just not enough of them. Mm-hmm. He's a guy who settles for 4 or 5 shots too often. But his percentages are good. His points per shot, which I know Whitey gets tired of me hearing from me.
I love it.
but I mean, that's what wins. Offensive efficiency, and really, other than Sabonis, he's the most efficient.
Yeah, to that point, Jerry, I was just looking this up last week, and I haven't checked it since. But true shooting percentage, which is a version of what you're talking about, I was surprised. Sabonis is first on the team, and Harrison Barnes is second on the team. So. Yeah, it's just like, hello, give him the ball, let him shoot a little bit because he can help you.
Yeah, I mean, and we all know that probably there's a diminishing returns in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But certainly between, at 15, 18 shots, it probably wouldn't be that good, but generally. But, I mean, for him not to get 10, 11 shots a game is just, I think, missing the beat. I mean, he's a good player, and he'll be selective. He's not going to force shots. I mean, that's just not who he is. So anyway, I think it just makes sense that this team really looking for a little more offense and a little more consistency. One way of getting better is getting Harrison Barnes involved more, I think.
Hey, Jerry, there's a lot of noise around DeAaron Fox right now. And we've talked about it on the show so far today, including sort of our admission that there's probably some stuff going on we don't know. But just as a basketball person, what do you see when you look at him over the last couple of weeks worth of games?
Well, he doesn't look like himself. I mean, where, you go back 15 games or so ago, I mean, he was clearly one of the very best players in the entire league. And, scoring 30 a game and had very productive numbers and just impossible to guard. And quite honestly, he hasn't been that for a while. So you have to say, what's up? Is he hurt? Is he tired? I mean, it could be a combination of any of those things. Is he, I think with DeAaron, this team, needs DeAaron he's been good, but they need DeAaron to be great. And when he's not great, they're just not, this team isn't the same team, isn't as likely to compete at the highest level. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jerry Reynolds is with us, and let me see now if I can do him justice. Jerry Reynolds, former Kings assistant, former Kings head coach, former Kings general manager, former Kings player personnel director, former Kings analyst on TV. And am I missing anything?
Sure, he knew the franchise in Kansas City, Omaha. His history knows no bounds.
Well, then don't forget the Monarchs now.
Dang it. Came up short again. Shorting Jerry Reynolds will be our new segment.
Yeah. Jer, I know you've made trades. We as fans, we like to sit there and get on the trade machine on ESPN or talk about maybe this guy or that guy. And you've actually made some deals. You're the guy that brought Mitch Richmond to town. Of all the trade rumors that are swirling around involving the Kings, do any of them make any sense to you? Do any of them seem in your mind to have any substance?
Well, that's always tough because, as we know, you guys know as well as I do, that agents put out so much of that stuff for their own benefit.
Yeah.
And then sometimes teams do just, some teams will throw names out there to kind of see what the value is, that sort of thing. But having said all that, I mean, I'd like anyone, I'd look at guys who might be available, and I really enjoy this team. I'd like to see them get better, and I think they really do need a couple positions, whether it's a big wing that can play 2 and 3 and all, like a Herb Jones of the Pelicans, or of course a guy I like. Whitey knows this, Mark, that I had a love affair with Bobby Portis a few years ago, and I was hoping the Kings would go get him. When he was a free agent and wasn't making a lot of money, and then Naz Reid last year, and now my man is Jaylen Smith from the Pacers.
Yes,
really.
Yes.
Yeah, a young guy that I think now they got Siakam, might be available, and the best. I think the best is ahead. I mean, right. 6'10", lively guy, can make shots, and to me, that's the kind of guy I would be more inclined if they could get him. Rather than pushing all the draft picks and this, that, and the other in, and hoping to get that bigger name guy that might not necessarily move the needle anyway.
Jerry, I think maybe you're rubbing off on me, because last week when the Pacers were here, right before the game started, I turned around and I saw, said to Chris Watkins, I said, "What do you think of Jaylen Smith?" I said, "I like Jaylen Smith," and he was kind of, not sure what he said, but Jaylen Smith went off that night, Jer. So there you go. I think I'm learning something from you or something.
Well, that may not work out well in your career, but I do. I mean, I it's like anything. If you're going to take a young guy, you're always kind of betting on the come. Whether it's getting a Bobby Jackson when he, on his 4th team, or players like that. I mean, or draft. You draft guys late, like a Turkoglu, and they turn out a lot better than you expect. And I think for this team, probably they're going to have to, catch lightning in a bottle, so to speak. They've done some really good things, but they're, I just think that, quite honestly, they're at least one piece really short, especially in the West. This thing is if these teams stay healthy, I don't know. You could be Kings to be anywhere from 5th to 10th or 11th, I mean, really, and that would apply to just about everybody else.
Hey, Jerry, how tough is it when a team starts to get good? You're in the front office, the team starts to get good, and there may be voices even within the organization saying, don't trade away pieces. We've just finally gotten this thing together. I ask that because when, you were there and in the thick of it, but when the Kings in their last iteration of really good basketball with Rick Adelman, obviously Jeff Petrie and yourself and others, they were not afraid to switch out some parts on the fly. In fact, they made some significant moves even in the first couple of years.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I think fans kind of forget that the first team, that went to the playoffs, it kind of turned things. The starters at guard were Jason Williams and Olivier St. John and Corliss Williamson, Vlade and Weber.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that wasn't the team a couple of years later, and I always said, basically trading Corliss for Doug Christie, was a terrific move based on fit. Corliss went on to be Sixth Man of the Year and on a world champion, just like Jason Williams for Bibby. I wouldn't say Bibby's better than Jason Williams. I definitely wouldn't say that, but he fit better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, to me, that's kind of where they're at. I mean, and people, we tend to forget too that the second year of that rebuild, or the team really turned, they won 44 games, which was about the same pace they were the year before, and got swept in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's right.
It was the third year when it really started coming together. And, so there's, I mean, I think, to your point is, I think Jeff always said, and I always really agreed, and Rick Adelman, is that you got a core that you want to keep, and that core may be 4 guys, 3 guys, 5 guys, but it's not 12.
Yeah.
It's not 12.
But don't you think, Jer, as objectively as we can be, Monty McNair looks at this roster and he sees it a lot better than most of us, but there's a need there. They probably need, if anything is possible trade-wise to upgrade this team, there's a need there if they want to get as far as they need to get to this year, right? Is that fair to say?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no question, Monty sees the same things we see and sees things we don't see.
Right.
He also knows, that what he'd like to do, the other team might not let him do.
Yeah.
Or say with trades, the thing I've learned is that you can't make people trade with you.
You tried, huh?
Yeah. It's kind of like demanded it. We want to send you our bad players for your good players. Why won't you do that?
Seems like it should work.
Yeah, it would work if somebody it's not often do you get a, trade Joe Barry Carroll for Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish. That just doesn't happen very often.
Right. Well, we appreciate your time. Thanks for your insight. And man, how anxious were you over that Chiefs win? That was a kind of a nail biter at times there.
It really was, and I mean, Josh Allen, I like that team. I feel bad for him, but, not bad enough to give up the win. But like I say, and as we've talked, the Chiefs haven't looked as good as, as they have in the past, but they got a guy named Patrick Mahomes plays quarterback. And I think that's quite an advantage.
You can't tell me your heart didn't flutter a little at wide right. Wide right happened.
It was doing a lot of fluttering, I'll tell you that. I was going to say, I got a new pacemaker, and it was having to keep pace. You know what I'm saying?
All right, JR. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Guys.
We'll talk to you soon.
See you, JR.
All right.
Having a great show.
Thank you. Kings icon, Jerry Reynolds. And his accomplishments, there's so many I can't even list them all. I've tried.
Legion.
I tried.
Yes.
He's literally in at least, I think, 3 halls of fame.
Yeah.
Various institutions.
Yeah, including one for coaching way back when.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. When we return here, what do Kings fans deserve? What do you deserve to see from your team in the second half? The Drive Guys here with Mark Kreidler in today. Sactown Sports.